Thank you. I would like to thank my esteemed colleagues and good friends, Ralph and Daisy, for their very wonderful organization of this conference. I would also like to thank Maria Tam, who was our conference manager of the Montessori Asia Conference, for giving me this opportunity to speak. The theme of this conference, as we just heard this morning, is cosmic education. And in her book, Montessori, The Science Behind the Genius, Angeline Stahl-Lillard says, cosmic education is a way to show the child how everything in the universe is interrelated and interdependent, no matter whether it is the tiniest molecule or the largest organism ever created. Every single thing has a part to play, a contribution to make to the maintenance of the harmony of the whole. In understanding this network of relationships, the child finds that he or she is also part of the whole and has a part to play and a contribution to make. We are very fortunate that Angeline Stahl-Lillard would be speaking later this morning. Montessori education is for all nations and cultures. The work of Montessori education is to make the leaders and citizens of a peaceful, prosperous world, and this has always been the work of Montessori. I believe it is important to know where we come from so that we can have a clear path to the future. So I want to share with you some information about Montessori education in the United States of America. As you know, the Casa di Bambini opened in Rome, Italy in 1907. Just 4 years later, in a small part of this building, the first Montessori school in the United States was founded. Soon after, in a wave of excitement, there were 100 schools in the United States of America. Dr. Montessori made her first visit to the U.S. in 1913, and she was received very warmly. In 1915, there was a World's Fair in San Francisco, California, and there was a glass classroom where people could walk by and see through a window children working in a Montessori environment. The children were 2.5 to 6 years of age. None of them had ever been in school before or in a Montessori environment, and the spectators marveled at their powers of concentration. The glass classroom was a real boon to Montessori education in America. And so 1915 was the height of the first wave of Montessori in the US. But after that, there was a steep decline in Montessori education. The most important reason for the decline was the criticism of influential American educational leaders. Although subsequent work in brain research and learning theory would validate Dr. Montessori's approach, these attacks against Montessori caught on with others in the educational field of America. And by the 1920s, Montessori had virtually disappeared from the educational scene in America. In 1953, Dr. Nancy McCormick Rambush, who was a very energetic human being and teacher, attended a conference in Paris. She saw Montessori education and wanted it for the children of America and her own children. And she started a small program in her apartment. In a nearby state, Connecticut, Other parents were thinking about Montessori education, and they hired Nancy. And together they created a Montessori school called Whitby. The first classes were held there in 1958 in a converted barn. In 1960, Whitby School moved to a new space where it remains today. After Whitby was up and running, Mario Montessori appointed Dr. Rambusch to serve as the U.S. representative of the Association Montessori International, the organization that he and his mother had founded. In 1960, the American Montessori Society was born, and Nancy was the founding director. The goals of AMS were, and still are, the same as those of the Association Montessori International: to support efforts to create schools, develop teacher education programs, and publicize the value of Montessori education. The last goal was realized in 1961 when one of the most famous publications featured a story about Nancy Rambusch, Whitby School, and the American Montessori Revival, and this was Time magazine. It revived interest in Montessori education in America, and when Dr. Rambusch's book, Learning How to Learn, was published, it led to a dramatic growth in the number of Montessori schools. Today, there's an estimated 5,000 schools in the United States, public and private. 100 years ago, there were 100, and now there are thousands. I like to believe that AMS played a part in this growth. AMS has over 15,000 members and is the largest Montessori organization. We have members hailing from every continent except Antarctica. The board of directors and the staff of AMS really work tirelessly to advocate for quality Montessori education and to strengthen its member services. Over the past 10 years, the number of AMS-affiliated teacher education programs has doubled. Our individual members have increased by 145%, and our school membership has grown by 130%. Thank you to all of those who are members of AMS, and I hope that in the future more of you will join us. I look forward to talking with you about it, and if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. I am frequently asked why my organization is called the American Montessori Society, because we have members all over the world. It is because we represent the American approach to Montessori education, and this is a model that places tremendous significance on the importance of cultural beliefs, concerns, and practices. AMS has been growing, I think, because it is adaptable. It is committed to culturally relevant and culturally responsive Montessori education. We're also committed to the continuous examination of the ways in which we deliver Montessori in order to align responsibly with the times. For example, in introducing new technologies into our classrooms and incorporating the latest findings from neuroscience research. During my visit here, I look forward to learning more about how you are practicing Montessori education in Asia. I suspect that your varied cultures have significantly shaped your practices and approaches to Montessori education. Dr. Montessori told us that all humanity that works for the common good, even though it may be unaware of it, is creating the new world that must be a world of peace. Thank you all for being such an integral part of forming and caring to make our world more peaceful, prosperous, and wondrous. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Pickering.